Hello, everybody. And we are live. We are live. Let's try to make it a little better here. And that is cool. Okay. Just checking here because apparently damn Skippy Pirate is on 6925 upper sideband, but I've got nothing here. Was reported at 2039 UT, so that's what 20 minutes ago. 21 minutes ago. So if anybody wants to try it, apparently damn Skippy 6925 upper sideband, but nothing over here. Okay, it's much cooler in Montreal today, Eric. It's like we're in the 50s. Compared to almost 100 on Wednesday, we're in the 50s today. It's like half. So nice to have all of you here. And look at that, guys. I found some beer. My famous fin du monde. So this is cool. My beer today. So today, no vodka juice or stuff. It's beer. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard to this special, I like to call it the special COVID-19 edition of the Sunday live show. And this, of course, is, a special show for Sunday. It's been a few weeks since I had a Sunday show. And so nice to be here on this Sunday evening. We're going to track down pirates. I'm going to check Preom, see if there's any activity on some number stations. That was fun on Friday, actually, to check out number stations. Actually, there is in 12 minutes. There's actually some activity tonight again. We're going to try a few number stations if they're not pirates. So next target is 16245. 16245. That's 16245 upper sideband. It's an RTTY station, F06A, and it's broadcast from Russia. FSK 200 baud, 1000 hertz, ACF 288. F06A from Moscow, Russia, apparently. I've never heard F06. I never heard their transmissions. Oh, wow, some weird radio teletype thing. So this is going to be interesting. F06A. So if you guys want to tune your radios to 16245, I'm going to do it here just in case. Here we go. Upper sideband. We'll see if we hear something. I actually hear some buzzing. Anybody hearing the buzzing on 16245? some kind of radar or I don't know what already on 16245. I don't know if it has to do with that signal coming soon, but it's going to be interesting. Yeah, it is fast for HF data, but it sounds weird when I listen to the audio clip. So, hey, everybody, welcome. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We are in northeast parts of North America. We are live usually on Wednesday and Friday. Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's 0 UTC. Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 20 hours UTC. And sometimes we do these live shows. So, you know. And hopefully nobody's going to rant. Somebody was ranting on my beard, saying that I shouldn't look all scruffy and I should be all perfect on camera. Yeah. Take me as I am. If you're coming here if you're not coming here because of my beard or whatever, maybe you shouldn't be here anyways. So anyways, nice to have all of you here. We have, of course, a beautiful chat room where you can join us in chat. And when that's over, we have, of course, the Facebook group, which is an amazing place where everybody can share what they're listening to and so on. It's a lot of fun and hope that you enjoy. Okay, Matt, MDK2, nice to have you on board from a cloudy but warm Denver, Colorado. Toes Broad TV, nice to have you here. Bobby Burgess from Morgan City, Louisiana, USA. Andy Coley. Nice to have you here. Caesar, nice to have you on board. How many radio programs do you catch from America to Canada and the AM band? Quite a lot, because the medium wave band, I hear a lot of U.S. stations here. A lot of U.S. stations at night, including all the big gun stations from Boston, from New York. I mean, there's tons of stations I hear over here. Basically, the AM band at night is a big clunk of U.S. stations. By the way, apparently here in Montreal, we have a station on 980 kilohertz that broadcasts mostly music from what I see. Apparently, it's going off the air tonight at midnight forever. So we will be losing one AM station in Montreal apparently this week. Esteban, nice to have you here from the Canary Islands. David Branscombe, nice to have you here. Had an email conversion a couple of days until Universal Radio in Ohio with regards to the status of the Ethon Elite Satellite Deluxe Shortwave Receiver. So he had not conversion, but conversation. Inform me that Ethon has now told him that the radio won't be available. Yeah, it's not going to be available at least for 2021. And I don't want to be bad, but there's not even there's even possibility that it might never arrive. So cross our fingers. Let's hope that it's not the case. Gordon Lyle, nice to have you on board from Southern Illinois. Frank Ireland, nice to have you here from Florida. Artist out of Croucher's Kitchen, nice to have you here from Massachusetts. Dijon, nice to have you on board from Bavaria, Germany. Hi, Brawler. Nice to have you here from Arkansas. Salut, Vince. Mais y a pas de problème. Ça nous arrive. It's nice to... it's those things of life. Sometimes we move, and we move to a new home. PA1 SBM Alex, nice to have you on board from the Netherlands. Daxpar 74, nice to have you here from Germany. Wolfgang Platzer, nice to have you on board from Austria. Joe Tyson, nice to have you here from North Carolina, USA. What strange stuff going on at UVB 76? You mean the French talking over them on the frequency? RFDXer, nice to have you here from Southeast Colorado. Eric Cottrell from the Boston area. Nice to have you on board, and it is much cooler here, yes. Which is a welcome break. Joe Rotman, nice to have you here from Chicago. Joe Sombranuas from Brazil, nice to have you here. Kevin Jane Apollo, WS2H from New Jersey. Jeff King from Jacksonville, Florida. iMapper, nice to have you here from Moscow, Russia. WF7I Homebrew, nice to have you here. Bonjour. From the Old Dominion, Virginia. And from New Rural Home Locale, wonderful weather. Installed TV antenna, cool. Adelva 65 from New York City, nice to have you on board. Shannon Harvey, hey, nice to have you here. Well, what are we doing today? What's happening? Eric Cottrell, you had some of that beer? Shannon Harvey's working on the June 2020 edition of CIDX Messenger. You will have my utility column by midnight tonight. It's almost done. It's maybe I got another page to add of stuff to it. That's it. So you'll get it by tonight, and you'll be able to share that with us. The goodness of the CIDX Messenger Bulletin. Jerry DX, nice to have you here. Glenn Zeckman, nice to have you on board from Tennessee. What else do we have? What is that in normal world measurement? So we had 36. We had actually the second hottest day in Montreal ever on Wednesday at 36.6 Celsius, which is in the upper 90s, mid to upper 90s Fahrenheit, mid 90s, which was really hot. And today we are at, right now, as I'm speaking, 12.9 degrees Celsius, which is very cold for this time of year, where the normal temperature for the day should be 21 Celsius, roughly 21 Celsius. Ronald Zuccola, nice to have you here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And it was fun on Friday, absolutely. Fastlow, nice to have you on board from Montreal. Yeah, there's a little noise on 16245. There's some weird radar or something. 6474. Jill looks perfect. Jerry says, yeah, buzzing noise. Yeah, that's what I hear too. At first, I thought, is that some kind of local interference? But I could see that it actually had fading in it. So there's definitely a buzzing on 16245. So in a couple of minutes, in about 2 minutes time, on 16245, possible F06A Russian number station in 200 baud RTTY. So this is going to be interesting to see if we hear anything. I've never heard F06. Every time I try it, I don't hear it. After that, we will have XPA2 on 11576. So that one we heard on Friday. XPA2 was one of the ones we heard Friday. 11576. That's at in 7 minutes from now. So let's hope that we hear all of that. What else do we have? Chemaxi 1976. It's been proven that beards improve shortwave signals. That's why I get all these stations. So if I let it grow, the problem with mine is it doesn't grow. It's like I'm stuck with a teenage beard forever. Stephen Hayes, nice to have you here. Keegan, nice to have you on board for Northwest Arkansas. Glenn is here for Mr. Paul. He's sleeping right behind the camera. Ehab, nice to have you here from Brussels, Belgium. P1SBM says, who cares if you have a scruffy beard? Yeah, I don't know. That was a big rant, too. It was really a big rant. Keegan, 10,000 plus views, 80 subscribers on YouTube page. Cool. Continue. Don't stop. Continue doing stuff. Joseph Dunn. Nice to have you here, Joseph, in Baltimore. Pretty cool. Kevin Jen Apollo here is 7:40 a.m. Zoom radio from Canada. Pretty cool. It's in Toronto, I believe. Lee Thompson, nice to have you on board from Indianapolis, W8QFE. Hope you guys are staying safe with all that's happening in the U.S. right now. Matt says, oh, what a lovely group we have assembled today. It is. It's always a lovely group. It's fun to see everybody here. So anybody receiving anybody receiving that signal on apart from that buzzing? I think I'm hearing that RTTY signal within the buzz. Is anybody hearing it too? I'm not sure. Nissan Greenwich, nice to have you here from Dublin. Hey, Bill. Nice to have you on board. Simba still alive? Cool. Texan R9700DX versus Texan PL3 310 ET, I would guess. I would go for the 310 ET because of its digital readout and the easy tuning mode function that it has, rather than the 9700DX, because it is a good radio, but it's analog. Ron Hicks, nice to have you here. KM4LDI, nice to have you on board. Soon to have over 50 QSL cards from USM hands. Cool. Yeah, probably somebody transmitting stuff Toast brought on 4625. Northern Dawn, nice to have you here, my friend. Matt, wow, that's really the highest it's ever been in Montreal. I would have thought it's been over 138 a few times. Not in that Montreal needs a lot of heat. Now 37.6 or 37.5 is the highest we've ever seen. The problem with Montreal is that summer is usually when we get a heat wave, it's usually from 30 to 34 Celsius. But with a lot of humidity, so with the humidex, that humidity index, it feels like it's 40 or 45. That's the toughest thing. What else do we have? Wolfgang Platzer, nice to have you here. He's going to fetch a beer. Page Master, nice to have you on board from Moore, Oklahoma. 10 meters has been open recently. Made 2 contacts. Cool. Yes, Paul is right here. I can say Paul is sleeping with his head all, So Vince Perrault says, I get some tones on 16245 at 2114. So let's try 11576. 11576. We should have XPA2 in 2 minutes. This is also a number station. It's a polyphonic or polytone 1, which sounds like this. So when you start hearing that, you're hearing it. So XPA2 out of Moscow, Russia will be starting in 2 minutes. So let's check that out on 11576 upper sideband. 11576 upper sideband. Degen says, yes, it's barely above the noise here in Germany. Steve Miller, nice to have you here from Arizona. Jerry says, sounds like RTTY here, so it's possible. Yeah, there is Joe Samblanu as a kind of a buzzing sound on 16245 also. Nothing, Matt, on 16245. Jerry, buzzing, maybe a Chinese jammer. Yeah, it's not impossible. It could be a radar, some kind of radar also. I don't know what it is exactly that was there, that buzzing. DJN has his Texan PL660 prepared for the holiday trip. I'll see what I can pick up in high North Germany. Cool. Always fun to listen to the radio from other locations when we go away a little bit. Matt says, oh yeah, I've experienced Montreal heat. Unfortunately, it's about all I remember from... Hey, real strong too. And here we have 11576. Our Moscow, Russia XPA2 spy number station. What else do we have? There's other Crafter's Kitchen saw videos today of the Texan PL990 H501 in the Facebook group. It does look very impressive. Yeah, we'll see when the real ones, because the tests that we see there are the ones with the first run. The first run of these radios. They're going to be updated with new firmware and everything. It's going to be interesting to see. What else do we have? Keegan is doing reception with his Ethon Grunting Field BT radio. Matt got XPA2, not real strong, but it's there. S9 in Germany. Strong signal, 11576 upper sideband in southern Austria. Glenn Zekman got it in Tennessee. Hubert Major, nice to have you here. Good evening. Fafret. Yeah, it does. Oh, man. Of the dawn, yeah, I got my sweater on. It is cold today. It's barely, it's 12 Celsius right now, which is a very big contrast to temperatures we had this week. JRDX 11576 S9 Plus. Matambali is hearing the tones on 11576. Those that wonder, you can use something called Rivet, R-I-V-E-T. That apparently decodes the numbers if it sends a series of numbers. Right now, it's supposed to be sending groups of numbers. And while we're listening to the soothing sounds of that station, I just want to show you guys a little someone that you want to see. Mr. Paul is right there. Okay. Kind of sleepy, but Mr. Paul is in the house. He's just saying hello to everybody. Or just like, I don't really care as long as, you know. So Mr. Paul is in the house. I mean. What else do we have? So, Vince, very clear and strong in De Montagne, 11576 upper sideband. Backyard Hunter, faint beeping on 11576 in Iowa. Gordon Lyle says strong out here in the country of Southern Illinois, plus 10 up. It's very strong here too. It's S9 plus 10 on my MLA30 and SDR Play RSPDX. Matt says it's sending a message, not good enough for a signal for an error-free decode. And it just switched off after sending its mysterious signal from Moscow, Russia. So this is cool, from Moscow, Russia. Pretty cool, though. PA1SBM Alex, 9 plus 20 on the web SDR and the 20 in the Netherlands. Red Alpha 65, 11576 strong in New York City. Toastbrought TV, is it still worth getting the Texan PL660 because of the PL680? Yeah, there's not enough difference to get a 680 over a 660, honestly. Shelly, nice to have you here. How long I've been on? I've been on since 8 a.m. this morning. Joking. We've been on for 24 minutes. Started at 21 UT. Nice to have you on board. So we've just been on for 24 minutes now. Eric Cottrell, transmission reminds me of Piccolo, a multi-tone data transmission. I remember that. I remember that. Hunter Carver, Pirates in the House. WF7I Homebrew, been listening to your live stream replays while I have been moving to new QTH. Can't always participate live, but we'll be able to more again soon. Thanks for all the content. Cool. Nice to have you here. Does Mr. Paul like lasagna? No, Mr. Paul is very difficult on his food. Very difficult. Wolfgang Platzer, what is that station on 11576? So that is so it's sending a digital, it's a kind of a digital mode. Polytone sounds kind of somewhat of frequency shift keying. It's a SPY number station. So SPY number station is basic role is to send encrypted secret messages to people, to spies around the world, probably. So this one was from Moscow, Russia. That means that we what we just heard comes from Russian territory, and it is meant to be decoded by spies somewhere in the world that know what the message means. The next one, by the way, in 5 minutes is on 14440. It's the F06 of earlier that we will try. So in 4 minutes, 14440. It's supposed to be a RTTY or radio teletype style transmission that also comes from Moscow, Russia. They're very active on the number station thing. I'm gonna tell you that. And we'll have another shot at XPA2 in 14 minutes on a different frequency from Moscow, Russia. And that will be, apart from HM01, pretty much what will be left for our tuning today, because of the, if I look at for the rest, after that it goes up to 2200 for HM01 for Cuba, 23 for M14. So it's all going to start again around 0 UTC when there's a lot of stuff that's going to be broadcast. So we've got 2 shots left, plus HM01 at 22. And we'll, of course, also be... there's a tone on 14440. Anybody just... There's definitely something that just keyed up on 14440. Degen has a weak pirate on 6270. Charity X, yeah, but I didn't watch the docking. I watched the launch, which was a lot of fun to watch. Always enjoy that. But I did not watch the docking to the ISS. It's cool to see that that it's working. You know, first time that we're sending that you guys are sending humans in space via a private company. You know, first time. Kind of cool to think that, you know, a private company has reached that status now. It was cool to see that, to see the rocket also come down and land on that platform in the ocean. Just always amazing to watch that also. Old Radio Man, nice to have you on board for Northeast Tennessee, trying to keep up with the frequencies you're calling out on your new RSPDX. A bit of a learning curve. Yeah, just click on the frequency display at the top and type the frequency that I'm saying. I know that it takes somewhat of a getting used to when you use these devices. Northern Dawn, has there been much activity on the handbands about the situation in USA? Not really. Shortwave isn't for that much. Jeff King, 11576 off the whip on the PL600, very strong. Do aliens have radio channels? Probably. I got one signal, Stephen Clower, on 10780 with a distinctive ID as Cape Radio, and it was a test. And I picked it up once, and somebody else mentioned he picked it up too. Yep, definitely hearing that. Tune 14439 upper sideband. We hear it better there. That's the 200 baud digital signal sent from Moscow, Russia to spies. I wonder what they're using to decode it. So I hear it better on 14439 upper sideband. Wolfgang Platzer. So a number station like in the 80s when there were these voice number stations. Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, the one we heard, XPA, is a digital one, but they still use some voice number stations also, Wolfgang. There's still a lot of them. Poland, Russia, we have Cuba, we have China, we have Korea. There's quite a few of them still active. And plus the ones we don't even know that are there. So Wolfgang Platzer says, how do you find out from where these spy stations are transmitting? Oh, I guess maybe I gave out my new identity. No, it's a website called Priam. I'll share it here. So copy. So this is the website I'm using. It's a very complete list by time of all that has been logged. They have schedules, plus there's a lot of them that don't follow specific schedules that can, appear at any time. But Priam is the place for anything spy number stations. So definitely hearing F06A from Russia, 14439 upper sideband in my case is better. Really cool. Matt says, Pirates sending slow scan TV 6925. Vince has tone. Legion 14440. Yep. Hear the tone. Rodolva 65. Wolfgang. Degen. Pretty cool. Undercover. Haven't they been transmitting a signal to outside the solar system for quite a while? We have sent a few signals from Earth to outside the solar system quite a few times with very, very high power. What else do we have? Zach, nice to have you here, Zachary. So, yeah, stay safe, my friend. I know it's not always easy. So, Jerry ADX, 14339S5, PageMaster, Madrid, Spain, Deep Space Network Dish number 63 is receiving signals from Voyager 1. Yep, that's the ones. That's pretty crazy when you think about the fact that Voyager 1 is so far away and sends a signal that's like 5 watt in power. Pretty crazy. Robert Glazer, nice to have you on board from Arizona. So we are hearing on 14440 or 14439 upper sideband that digital hash from F06A. So today is a first for me. I had never received F06A in the times that I've tried, probably because of propagation. And it's actually really, really good right now. So it's really nice. Regular schedules of F06A consists of 3 identical transmissions, 15 minutes apart, as opposed to 10 minutes for regular F06, and transmit unidentified binary files. The transmissions are always repeated the following day at the same times and frequencies. It's a variant of the Russian 6-mode F06. Unlike regular F06, which carries a compressed stream of 5-digit groups, F06A carries a named file. So they're kind of sending a file. They send a file here. This is weird. This is weird. It's kind of downloading like on a BBS through Shortwave. It is kind of cool when you think about it. Joe Somber on US is not hearing anything. JDX, yep, it's running on its nuclear nuclear power generator. Matt says, I do seem to be hearing something, but I guess it was a CW station, so I can't say for sure that I'm hearing it. We'll have to check out a recording later. Gren Lyle says, we send a radio signal to near a star, but we will be all be long gone when it gets there. Yeah, but we didn't send it to the nearest star. We sent it to a star, but I don't remember which one. Because the nearest star is 4 light years away. So a radio signal takes 4 years to get there. If there would be aliens to answer, that take 8 years for a signal to go and somebody to respond back. Or maybe they're watching Earth and saying, please, we're not going to respond to their messages. That planet is going to kill us. Because Alpha Centauri and Proxima Centauri which is a multiple star system, is about 4.5 light years away. So, but they did send out a radio signal in the direction of. They actually sent a Beatles song using 1 megawatt of power towards the Big Dipper, Ursa Major, in the 80s or 90s. I remember a lot of scientists saying, "Yeah, we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't tell anyone in our universe that we exist." Yeah, 4 light years, somewhere in the 4 light years, 4.2. So, yeah, it's. I read a few things about it, but they're the Proxima Centauri is like a brown dwarf, but it's centered on Alpha Centauri, which is not a brown dwarf, which is actually a pretty bright star in the southern hemisphere. We don't see it here in the northern hemisphere, but it has 2 or 3 companions that are kind of stars or brown dwarf stars type. So it's kind of a weird system. Matt says, I've said it before, but this makes me think of Lur and of Omicron Persei 8. Yep. I like that. Because when he comes to invade Earth or something like that, because he doesn't like the ending of one of our our soap operas or sitcoms on TV. Oh, man. Caesar, is there a frequency where signals from the universe can be hunted? Well, a lot of people seem to think that, a lot of scientists seem to think if we would try to connect to the universe, it would be around the frequency of the hydrogen atom, which is somewhere like 1240 megahertz, something like that. I don't remember the exact frequency, but because it's the most abundant stuff. If you guys want to try XPA 210 776 10776. Upper sideband. It's supposed to start in a minute. Not even. 10776. XPA2. Russian spy number station. Should be. Here it goes. I'm hearing it. It just signed on. Just signed on. But I know that they did send a signal. I'm pretty sure Gordon is right because I remember they sent a signal. I'm wondering if it's not the one that they're sending towards the Big Dipper, that song, that Beatles song, that one is like, very, very far away. Kevin Jane Apollo, Demon Hunted World by Carl Sagan is a good book on contact efforts. Pagemaster Alpha Centauri is a G2V star like our sun. Yeah, I know that star is because the main star of the system is a normal bright star that we can see in the southern hemisphere. But it is accompanied by these weird brown dwarf stars. Wolfgang says, yep, coming in strong. Vince, 10776, very clear. S9 says, Degen. Atambali, 10776, audible. Pretty good. Yeah, Across the Universe. That was a song, Pagemaster. Transmission was aimed at the North Star Polaris. So they beamed it at the North Star Polaris. So it's 431 light years, which means that it would take 862 years if somebody answers. Matt says, good XPA2 signal here. Maybe this will decode. Hunter Carver got it. Jerry, Voyager satellites have gold in the description of the planet disks. Yep. It says S9 Plus. Frank Ireland, 10776, loud and clear on MLA 30PL 616 near Tampa. We don't know what it is. I had one comment on Friday's show. Somebody saying, well, why are you listening to these weird sounds that you have no idea what they're saying? It's not just that. There are a couple of components in the fun, and I think that's where we see a fan of shortwave. There's a few things that make us kind of go, kind of find it so cool. The fact, first of all, that it's from Russia. So we're DXing Russia right now. We might not have any voice of Russia anymore, but we have that. So that's, first of all, amazing. Just to think that, from Moscow, Russia, all the way to Montreal here, or all the way to wherever you guys live, we're hearing a signal. It's kind of cool when you think about it. And the second is the mysterious nature of it. The fact that we don't know what it's saying, what it's sending. Maybe it's telling, prepare yourselves. We're going to send the nuclear missiles tomorrow morning. But, we're in the middle of some kind of spy message that, just thinking about it, someone somewhere knows what that means. I've always had a very one story. You guys know a lot of my stories that I've told over the years of my years as a tech guy, going to different people's, fixing computers and so on. But one that is very interesting, and actually somebody brought it up. A friend of mine brought it up a few weeks ago. I was talking to a friend on my phone, and he was hearing something in the background. He says, "What's that?" And I was, it was the Cuban number lady that was saying numbers, and it was kind of low, but you could hear something. And I said, "Oh, I'm listening to, shortwave. I'm listening to a Cuban spy number station, which is a Cuban lady." And he says, "Oh, the message for your client there." And what he meant is that one of my clients was Cuban, and it was she was a very mysterious woman, very mysterious. She had an obscure company that I don't know what it is. I don't know how many times she told me, "Whatever you see in my computer, you've never seen." I'm not joking. She actually told me so many times, "Whatever you see on my computer, you have never seen." So the first time that I went there, she was very cautious. She was like, "I don't know who you are." And it was very weird. But I fixed the computer, and the way that my social blah blah and jokes and whatever, uh, quite rapidly she came to see that it was cool. And I remember when that first time that I went there, she sent me an email the next day to say, "Hey, my computer's going great. And by the way, I just want to say that you are my tech guy forever. And you are really, really fun to talk to and really appreciated, not just the computer fixing time, but it's kind of cool to have the conversations and all. And so she was my tech guy. She was my tech guy. I was her tech guy for, I don't know. I fixed computers actively for about 15 years. Out of 15 years, I probably would go to visit her every two to 3 years, um, throughout almost all of the 15 years that I did it. And but it was always very mysterious, and she was always ask me questions like, "Do you know how to use the encrypted documents feature on Word so I can send documents to Cuba?" And I was like, in my head, I was like, "You want to send encrypted documents to Cuba? Okay." And I remember once she had an encrypted document from Cuba. And she said, "I got a problem." I said, "What?" "I lost the password for this document." And we're in 2012, 13. At that time, the encryption of Word documents was very, very basic. So there were kind of tons of tools on the internet to actually find out the password for a Word document that was. And I remember she being quite amazed at me taking out a little tool, a little software, and saying, "Well, okay, that's the password, Fernando," or whatever. And she was like, "Oh, wow, okay, thanks." And so, and she was asking questions back then because she says, "Okay, so if you can see what's in here, everybody can." And I said, "Yeah, that's pretty easy. There are some, and she was asking questions like, can you tell me a better way to encrypt my documents and stuff?" So it came out to a moment where every time, every time I would hear the Cuban number lady, I would think of my client and think, "Oh, she's the one receiving all of these Cuban numbers, and she knows what they mean." Oh man, it's like, okay, that was crazy. That was crazy. Okay, what else do we have? Question: Does FLDG have a start-stop button? I launched the software and it just starts. I can't find it. There's no start-stop button. What you do is you fire it up, you choose your mode of the code that you want to decode, and you choose the code. There's no start or stop button for FLDG. It doesn't. It just continues as long as there's audio. So that's why sometimes you might see some garbage going through, but there's no stop or start stop button in it. NDK2 better than the last transmission, but still getting a few errors. Will not know what Moscow is telling me. Oops. Comrade, launched launch the missiles. Hey, Paul. Paul the cat wanted to get out. Sorry, guys. And so it was kind of funny story. So every time I would hear the Cuban number lady, I would think of her, and I was like, man, could she be the one receiving these numbers and she knows what it is? I should have talked to her about that. I was like, I'm receiving spy transmissions. Maybe not. I would have disappeared from the planet, maybe. Yep. Like you're saying, Arto's Autocrat's Kitchen. You know, the fun of trying to see or wondering what they are used for and what they could be singing. It's, you know, you never know. Sorry, the ex-Russian chat from the ISS. Yeah, when they broadcast, yep. And it's overhead. Stopped, yes. Matt says, I seem to recall the Cuban 5 case, which was one of the few times governments acknowledged number stations that they were sending a lot in innocuous messages like birthday greetings. Yeah. Donald Hosmer, but they don't have Uncle Joe and the Moscow Mailbag Show, nor can you get Radio Moscow World Service QSL. Yeah. Man. Hey, Sheldon, if you're still listening, how did you find the ending of the show this morning, International Radio Report with Radio Moscow? I'm amazed on that recording, the amazing amount of frequencies they are transmitting on at the same time. It's just crazy. Matambalo Matambali says, speaking of Cuban number lady, she's next on 10715. Yes, she will be in 10715. Let's check it out here. I'm going to put myself there. That's an AM mode. So 10715 should be Cuban number lady at the top of the hour, 9 minutes from now. Yeah, RWM time signal from Moscow does QSL. I need to try it out. I never QSL them. I hear them so frequently. I'm really gonna try it right now. 9996. Am I hearing RWM? 14996. Nope. Yeah, maybe very, very weak on 9996. I'm hearing the time, the very, very weak pips of the RWM time signal. But it's not very good today. Not. I often hear it much better than that. I need to send for a QSL. Would be my first QSL from Russia in 25 years or something. I don't know. What else do we have? Maybe it was her, the transmissions. Hey, Simon Templar, nice to have you here. So, Kevin Jane Apollo. The Voyager Golden Records has greetings in 100 different languages from Earth. It has a very short amount of time of music from different cultures. Very small samples. And they were the Voyagers were sent in 77. Shady Pyro 90, nice to have you here. Calvin, nice to have you on board. Says just put up the high gain 5/8 wave silver rod antenna on 20-foot mast. Strapped to a tree today. Works awesome. Has a flat SWR from 30 megahertz up. Pretty cool. And to a 1.5 on 80 meter band. So 30 meg. So let's do that again. SWR from 30 megahertz up to a 1.5 on 80 meter band. That's not too bad, actually. The signal for the HM01 Cuban lady just came up on 10715. Jerry says the Cuban lady might show up at my door tonight. Glenn Zachman, Jill the Spy. But you think about it and you're like, well, she's all weird and she wants these encrypted documents sent to Cuba, And maybe you never know. When I went home that night, I remember it's like, I just found the password of a encrypted document that comes from Cuba. What did I do? Exactly. So you just missed a few spy number stations from Russia. Now we've got 10715, which is the Cuban lady coming up. Matt worked Brazil in 12 meters. Cool. Degen, was fun receiving the spy stations. Need to go now. Take care, my friend. Stay safe. Have fun with the radio. Going Lyle, I bet she had a secret room with a big old transmitter. The antenna was hid in a big tree. Hunter Carver, so how did you know about that upcoming signal on the USB from Russia? What did you use? Yeah, so that's what I was saying. I posted again here. Preom.org, the website that I use, is specialized in hunting down everything that is number stations and mysterious signals on shortwave. They have their schedules of pretty much most of the number stations that you can listen to. And of course, there's a lot of stuff that is like they say, that isn't necessarily in a schedule that you can listen to. A very complete site with a lot of recordings of old number stations that have long gone. Jivan Robert Milligan, nice to have you here. Says posted a video yesterday of the Cuban HM01 numbers lady. Cool. Esteban, aliens transmit in hydrogen times. Legion says tried getting CHU last night, had a weak carry on 7850. Matt got him RWM on 14996 only a couple of times. 9996 is more frequent, but only a seasonal cache for me. Pretty much the same here. I would say summertime here, 14996 is a possibility in the afternoon. In my local afternoon, maybe like at 1800 UT, around there. 9996 would probably be right now a possibility. And 4996 is more of a winter one for me. But when we get to the equinox, when we get to spring or fall, around that time is probably the best time to receive almost all of the frequencies at some point during the day. But it is seasonal somewhat here too. William Moser, nice to have you here. Jonas, nice to have you here. Matt says Super Bowl Channel 6 is active, but not hearing anything down where the Mexican and Caribbean CB stations are. I tried before the live show, and I was not hearing anything on 27025. Little Tokyo. So can I listen to the International Radio Report as a podcast? You can download the show from ckut.ca in MP3 format to listen. Calvin says, no tuner used, Joe. You met the Cuban lady. Now thinking about it, she has almost the same voice. I'm going to start to think maybe she was the Cuban number lady. um, but it's one of those mysterious things of life that makes you just wonder. Maybe she knows something about that. I don't know. She always was very mysterious in the way she was, but she was always very, very nice. I mean, she always told me how she was so happy to have me as a tech guy, and that I was fun to talk to. It was interesting to talk to, and we would talk a little bit about Cuba from time to time, but not a lot. So what else do we have? What else do we have? Yeah, well, the sound started now because the signal started before, but now you should hear the voice, Vince. It just started. Shitty Power 90 got HM0 on Carrier 2. Tambale, are any other, say, full databases downloadable on mysteries stations like that Priam has? That's pretty much for that type of broadcast, spy number stations and stuff. It's pretty much Priam is pretty much the place to go. I'm sure there are some other places where there's some stuff. EIBI space schedules have a few of the spy number broadcasts in the list of broadcasts. Wolfgang says no signal from Cuba here in Austria. Yeah, it's a tough one. In Europe, the Cuban lady is more difficult to receive. Take care, Gordon Lyle. It's nice to have you here. Yeah, I can re-add you, Jerry, but I would be careful because you've been flagged by others for some of the stuff that showed up on the Shortwave Facebook group. Remember that it's for shortwave radio stuff only. But I'll check that out. What else do we have? Yeah, HF Underground has a lot of databases of different things, but I think it's not updated. It's not like the one that is on Priam. Priam is amazing. Priam is really amazing. Jerry DX says, Jill met the Cuban numbers lady and lived to tell the tale. Take care, Keegan. It was nice to have you here. Yeah, I'll check that out later. Make sure that you abide by the rules. It's very important. Oh yeah, Priam is the place, Matambali. They have all of it. Joe Sambranua, strange signal and 10732. I don't have anything here. I see the link 11 NATO signal on 11 1 11. Okay, let's restart that. I see the NATO link 11 signal on 11016 upper sideband. I hear the bursts of data, regular bursts of data all the time. I've got nothing on 10732 here. So I don't know what you're hearing down there in Brazil. You might be hearing something more local over there. Yeah, you never know, Matambali. Sometimes it happens. Caesar, 10715. What she looked like? Well, she looked like a woman. She looked like she had a mom look. Like kind of a it would be the kind of woman that, like, oh, I'm gonna cook you breakfast and dinner and whatever. It's like she was kind of interesting. She was always alone, and the only times that she was actually talking on the phone, she would hang up real fast when I would actually go and fix the computer. Was that also always made me kind of wonder a little bit. But it's one of those things that you're like, yeah, okay, that's weird, but that's life. That's life. We have Helen Lafferty saying hello. Nice to have you here. We have Elizabeth from Regina, Saskatchewan, saying hello, and she says she's having a lot of fun hunting down the signals that that I'm posting. She says she was hearing almost every signal on Friday, and she's hearing the signals tonight from the spy number stations. So hello there, Elizabeth. Nice to have you on board, my friend. And what else do we have? Anything else? This looks good. Take care, Alex, PM1SBM. Stay safe. See you soon. Eric Cottrell sharing the Anamontes was a Cuban spy that listened to HM01. A little story here from 2013. Oh, I'm going to check that out. Jerry, lady with a wig, mustache, and a dress. Calvin, was she alone in a room calling numbers? 7, 7, 5. Take care, Wolfgang. Nice to have you on board. We're going to check that out. 73 RFD thunderstorms, which is the summer thing. Okay, let's check out if there's any pirates. Because the next, according to Preon, the next number station is only at 23 UT, 4890, which is M14. 23 UT. Where is that from? From Moscow, Russia, once again. But that's much later. We're at 22 UT right now. Let me check something. 9830. Do we have? Yes, we do. Voice of Turkey, English. 9830, Voice of Turkey, coming in really well in English. If you guys want to check that out. So 9830, Voice of Turkey. And if we look at pirate stations, what do we have? And they are talking about coronavirus on Voice of Turkey. I wonder why. Nothing has showed up yet of anything new from pirate stations on HF Underground. So nothing much there. And let's check out here. Anything else that we could check it out? Frank Ireland could not hear number lady on MLA 30. Tried my outdoor long wire as had a faint signal, but could not hear it well enough to be sure it was the numbers lady. You are in Florida, very close to Cuba. And very close to Cuba. So it might be skipping over you a lot. And on the MLA 30, because you're very close, it would be very directional. I see it here with, for example, CHU time signal. CHU is like 100 miles away, and a little more, 120 miles away maybe. And the MLA 30 is like super directional on that signal. I could null out CHU and I can bring it to really full strength, especially on the lower frequencies. And so that could be one thing on the MLA30 because you're very close to the Cuban number, lady. But overall, 10715, it might be skipping over you because you're really close to Cuba. Anything that when you're too close to a transmitter, it's like same for me with WBCQ. And WBCQ transmits, it often I don't hear any of their frequencies. They're all skipping over because Monticello, Maine isn't that far from Montreal. So the signals are actually skipping over Montreal. Brady, KJ7GFT, is that a Tivoli audio behind you? If you're talking, I think every time that somebody talks about the Tivoli, it's always that thing here. This is a AM FM radio by A-Rock, which is a simply used. It does one thing, only one thing. The only reason I purchased that thing is to use an audio because it has an audio amplifier. So I use it on some of the radios that I have here to amplify the audio of the radio, and I use it on the old Sangean ATS 909 or Radio Shack DX398 because the speaker is not good. So by having the speaker, having that, I could just plug it in and have good audio. But no, it's not the. I get asked that question almost every time that thing is in the frame. If that's a Tivoli. KJ Walda, and I actually looked it up, and I got to say it does look like, but it's not. KJ Walda says 9830, very clear in the Netherlands on his Sony ICF Shortwave 55. Cool. Caesar says talking on 10090. It's probably 13090. It's probably 13089. Let me check it out. Because there could be a weather broadcast, maritime weather. Yeah, 13089 is Chesapeake, Virginia weather, Caesar. You should be getting that normally on 13089. 8764. And 6501. I'm hearing it really well. 6501 and 8764 upper sideband for the Chesapeake, Virginia maritime weather station. A little bit distorted in the audio, but I know they're using 13089. I'm just going to check something though, because 13089 is used by many stations, and you might be hearing. Let me check it out here. 13089. So right now, Chesapeake. Yeah, that's what you're hearing. Chesapeake weather. U.S. Coast Guard Chesapeake. Because it could have been another one, but they're not at the same time. So this is NMN. If you guys want to try it, 6501 8764 13089. Right now, these three frequencies have the same transmission. It's NMN station. It's a U.S. Coast Guard maritime weather broadcast via Chesapeake, Virginia. On the frequencies, I'm hearing 6501 and 8764 really well. I'm not hearing 13089. PageMaster recently bought a Sony ICF 7601. How do you like it? Stephen Clower, 9830, coming in loud and clear in Indiana. Curious, is this direct or being relayed? This is direct from Turkey. The transmitter site is just outside of Istanbul, Turkey. So what you're hearing on 9830 is direct from Turkey. It's not a relay, which makes it even more interesting and even more cool to know that you're hearing Voice of Turkey direct from Turkey. Jerry DX posts them on YouTube. Caesar says thank you. Mike Thornton, nice to have you on board from Kansas, WC0L. And thanks for the live Sunday show. Happy to be here. I'm going to have to open beer number 2 now. I've just beer number 1. Jerry DX, ever hear your cousins on 5275? I haven't heard them for a while. Yeah, it's a very seasonal thing. I actually heard you know what? It's very interesting. It's very wide in frequency range. I've heard them as low as 5180 and as high as 5425, something like that. I was actually surprised at the range. Last time I've heard talk was when they started the confinement here in March. It was maybe late March when I heard it. I haven't. I'm going to check it out right now. 5275. Oh, there. I'm hearing it right now. I'm actually hearing them right now. 5275 in French. This is kind of cool. So 5275, I'm hearing what is probably coming from like northern parts of the province of Quebec. They're in French. I'm hearing them right now. Brady, KJ7 and JFT says, I have a Tivoli audio model from the early 2000s. I got from an auction for $15. And they are worth between 60 and 120, quite surprised. Now, that's a very cheap thing. It has nothing to do with the Tivoli thing. Understand the times. Nice to have you here from South Carolina, KC8KSK. Matt says, I love being able to get Voice of Turkey, but it's been really tough for the past couple of years. Some of that Turkish pop is pretty good music. You know what? So here we have a pretty big. I'm going to open beer number 2. I have a little story that goes with Voice of Turkey, Matt. So here, where I live, I am very close to a Algeria community. And so there's a lot of Arabic speaking people around where I live. Not on this street, but I'm, 5-minute walk and I'm there. And there's, like 3 or 4 mosques and all of that. It's really changed because there was like pretty much no Muslims when I grew up here, because I grew up not very far from here. It was mostly Italians and French Canadians back then. So anyways, now it's a big community, and it creates tensions. There's a lot of tension with that and the local population, and it's we often hear bad things, and I mean you got to be a little careful sometimes. So the other day, I have the big Grundig satellite transistor outside. I made a few videos, and that thing has very powerful audio. And the audio was, I guess, a little high. And I was on Voice of Turkey, and they were playing that Turkish pop, which for anybody that has no idea what it is, and anybody that has no idea what's playing, immediately is associated with Muslims and Arabic and whatever. And I go out and notice that it's a little high on the volume. And I notice that on the other side, there's a bunch of people on the balcony kind of looking in my direction. And I'm like, wow, okay. I just been flagged as probably some Algerian guy or whatever, just because Turkish pop music was playing and it was singing in, Turkish, which sounds close to Arabic for anybody that has no idea, because it's not Arabic, it's Turkish. But anyways, for anybody that has no idea, it sounds Arabic. And so I was like, okay, well, I've just been flagged as a possible Algerian or something by the neighbors because of that. It's like crazy. I find it stupid anyways to have all of these, flags of, because you're of a certain community or anything. Jerry, it's the fin du monde. It's the end of the world. Perfect beer for confinement, riots, and whatever. It sums up the last few days of what's happening around the world. So, anyways, it's some of those things sometimes that you're like, yeah, come on. Page Master, I do like Page Master. I do like the radio, very clean and stable on all frequencies. It does have its pros and cons, but it does the job. I mean, all the radios aren't perfect. They're even in even with tabletop $1,000 models, nothing is 100%. They have their glitches and they have their little things. Frank Ireland is hearing all three NMN frequencies plus Turkey, very strong. Page Master says he gives a 6.5 out of 10. That's not too bad. JDX says, I tried 5 minutes ago on 5275. Even Robert Milligan says, expecting severe thunderstorm here in Alberta, very high winds and large hail. Oh, wow. Stay safe. Frank Ireland, Tampa on curfew tonight. Wow, crazy times. Frank Ireland is pouring a rum and coke. Why not? Enjoy the times. David Nathan, nice to have you here from Israel. So yeah, there's a kind of a talk right now between a woman and a very strong ham station on 5330.5 upper sideband. The other one's weak. I'm hearing a very weak voice in the background, but there's one of the stations that's really strong. 5330.5 upper sideband. Yarabamba, nice to have you here. Peru is lamenting the demise of shortwave radio. Some students in the Andes are walking 2 hours to get an AM signal to receive radio lesson due to coronavirus. Radio lessons, yeah. Shortwave would have solved the problem. That's the problem that I think of when we see the short-sightedness of some of the people that decide about radio transmissions. The fact that you notice that they are not thinking that shortwave, one transmitter covers a whole country, like Peru. It's as simple as that. Why have 5 million transmitters of FM or whatever when one shortwave transmitter does it all? Sometimes there are some things in there that you're like, nah, somebody's not thinking right. Brent, nice to have you here from Brockville, Ontario, Canada. Bill gets no signals of what I get in Seattle. Continue trying. We're gonna try. We're gonna go a little higher in frequencies. You should be getting some of this stuff for sure. Using PL880. Are you using an indoor antenna? You're using just a telescopic of the antenna, Bill? Just out of curiosity. Caesar, DXAM from Mexico and Canada. I have never heard any Mexican stations on AM here in Canada, here in Montreal. Personally me, but I'm pretty sure there must be some DXers of AM that did get some Mexicans for sure. I did, and that was a first for me. I did get last winter, while tuning around just for the fun of it, Cuba, Radio Rebelde on AM, and like I don't remember the frequency, but it was like I don't know, 600 and some kilohertz. It was in the bottom part of the AM band. So I mean, if I'm hearing Cuba, technically there's a possibility of Mexico, but I have never. But I don't DX AM enough. That night kind of was exciting, because it was like, wow, I'm getting Cuban stations on AM first time, which means you are, really, you are really capable of receiving signals from pretty far away on AM. So I should just try a little more. Because I wouldn't be surprised that I can get maybe some Mexican stations in Montreal, but that's getting pretty far away. For one of the biggest problems here is the fact that the United States is full of AM stations on every frequency on the AM band, so it makes it a little better. A little hard, to get these stations. I think it's not just the antenna. I think it's the fact that we're overwhelmed by U.S. stations on pretty much all the frequencies. And here, there's a lot of noise too. So, Hey, Mickey Delnage, nice to have you here from Shortwave, Port Alberta. Says 6977. CFARSnet, which is the Canadian Forces. Oh, wow, I'm hearing really well, too. So 6977 is the Canadian Forces Auxiliary Radio System. It's like Mars for the U.S. military auxiliary radio system, but Canadian side of it. So I'm hearing some stations on 69. You just said CFARS. Wow. You're hearing it in Alberta too, Mickey? Wow, this is cool. I think it's the first time I hear CFARSnet. So this is the Canadian military, Canadian Forces, 6977. I'm going to have to do a video of this because it's just so cool. This is so cool. Thanks for that tip, Mickey. Well, this is so cool. Hubert Major drank a few of those fins du monde about 20 years back in 32, 33 Celsius weather, not caring about the outcome. Rough lesson learned. Never touched it after that. You got to be careful with fins du monde because it is 9% beer. It is 9% beer. So this is my second one that I'm starting right now. I always stop at 3. Because one time, my story with fins du monde is one evening, I had my 6-pack. I had done a live show, I drank the first 3 on the live show, and I decided to continue listening to Shortwave. And I continued. I opened the 4th one, and then I drank all 6-pack of it. I can tell you, the next morning I was hungover. A 6-pack of Fin du Monde, you are hungover the next day. I can tell you that. Matt says it's hard for me to tell if a station is Mexican or just a Spanish station in the USA. That is also very difficult, absolutely. And not just in the US. Even here, we have many stations that are multilingual. So, you could hear a station in Spanish, think it's something, then it's like, no, this is a station in Ontario or something. JDX S9 Plus, Vince 6977, very clear. Hey, Chuck Yunkin, nice to have you here. JDX says great DX today. Yep. Radioactive is hearing traffic on 6977. Glenn Zekman says I can just hear it in Tennessee. Megan Dalmich says good signals here in Alberta for CFAR's secondary frequency. 14458.5 was also good when they were using primary a couple of minutes ago. Cool. Frank Ireland 6977 coming in on both antennas, but very weak. Cool. Did they just stop, or? Michael Schibler, nice to have you here from Bolton, Ontario. C'est une bonne bière. Cheers. That's cool. CFAR. It's the first time I hear the Canadian Forces auxiliary radio system. Really nice. Really nice. Bobby Burgess says 6950 upper sideband. Not seeing anything on the waterfall at all. So 6950 upper sideband. I've got nothing here. Got nothing at all on 6950 over here. It's kind of cool to hear these signals today. So we've heard Canadian military. We've heard Russian number stations. Pretty cool. Tristan Babcock. Wow, I was watching and tried 9830. This is the first time I've confirmed I picked up a station version in Cuba. Cool. This is cool. The name of the beer, Fin du Monde, which means end of the world. It's la fin du monde, or the end of the world. And by the way, what you see here is the province of Quebec. So, you happy receiving it, Tristan? Kind of cool, eh? Frank Ireland, if they are hams on 6977, you might not hear every operator. Can you explain how to use a waterfall? Spectrum scope is obvious, but don't understand how to use the waterfall. When you say the waterfall, you mean what is visible in the waterfall itself of all the signals? Because you have two. So basically, on the SDR, you have two. You have the scope where you see the signals. At the bottom, you see the waterfall. The waterfall is showing you simply all the active signals. So basically, the waterfall is interesting because it tells you what is at specific spaces. So you can actually have, the signals on the top on the spectrum scope, which gives you the peaks of how strong signals are. But with the noise level, you see a noise floor, and you see the peak of signals. But below it, the peak of the signals that you see at the top, they're showing on the waterfall. That is telling you what is on different frequencies. So instead of having, because obviously the stronger the signal, the more it shows up on the waterfall. But the waterfall gives you more details, because if you get used to the waterfall, you can actually use that waterfall and understand what type of signal is there. So if you zoom in the waterfall, not only do you see a line, you see that the line has a structure or a texture, if you want. I can watch a waterfall and I can actually make it, like, when you get used to it, you actually can visually see the difference between an AM signal, between a single sideband signal, or even a digital mode. If you are listening to digital modes quite regularly, the waterfall, the structure of what is in that waterfall can actually just visually give you an idea of what mode they're transmitting, which is kind of cool. So it's not just giving you the signal, but if you zoom in on it, it's actually giving you enough detail that visually you might already have an idea that it's a single sideband signal, or an AM signal, or a digital signal of some sort. And if you really get used to it, not just a digital signal, you can even see what type of digital signal it probably is. Madam Bali says, I thought fin du monde meant end of Monday. Oh, man. Bill, can I use the MLA30 indoors? Will that help with picking up signals in Seattle? Well, the MLA30, a lot of people are using it indoors and seem to have a lot of success with it. So, if you live in if it's very noisy in your environment, you would have a better chance of getting signals with an MLA30 than a wire antenna. Here I've got a sloper, which is technically a wire antenna. I don't use it because the MLA30 beats that antenna, really, really giving me more signals. One of the, because I don't know if you've been listening since the beginning of the show, Bill. If you tried some of the Russian signals that we were talking about earlier, because some of you were hearing that up to Colorado. I'm surprised you probably didn't hear at least one in Seattle. It makes me think that maybe you've got a lot of noise, and that the fact is not that the signals don't get to Seattle to where you're listening, but the noise is so high that the noise is just washing out all the signals and you don't hear them. So maybe that's the thing. But the waterfall is very, very detailed. The waterfall, when you look at it, seems to be very simple. It seems to just show a signal. But it's more than that. When you start zooming into that waterfall, you actually see the structure of a signal. It gives you an idea of what type of signal it could be immediately, which is very, very nice. So, when I listen to a signal, or if I see something, I will often zoom in to have a little more detail. But, like right now, I tuned 6950 because I wanted to see if I could hear that signal that Bobby was saying. Now, above it, I see that there's still that contest. The CW Worldwide WPX contest is still going on in Morse code. And there's a lot of Morse code signals there. So if you zoom into that, if you go in there and zoom in, Because if you guys see a lot of the signals there, there's the contest is still going on until 23:59 UT. What you could do is, of course, zoom into that. For example, a Morse code signal, you'll see it there, and you actually can almost not only with your ears decode Morse code if you're good at it, but you could almost see it visually, because every letter and number sent in Morse code actually shows up as a dit or a da, a dot or a longer signal on the waterfall itself. You're almost capable of reading Morse code there too. And of course, you look at it and you have different signals. You can see the different signals, different structure. I can actually see here that, for example, I just zoomed in and I could see that on 7074, it's the different structure. It doesn't look like the other signals that are all Morse code. That one shows, it's kind of telling me, oh, that's the digital mode. It's a different signal. So it's kind of using the audio portion and giving you a different structure of the different signals that you see there. It's very interesting. There's a lot of information in the waterfall, where the spectrum scope is just giving you the peaks, how strong a signal is compared to the base noise level, if you want. Michael Moancy, is the MLA30 directional? It is for certain types of signals. So it is, if you're listening to medium wave AM radio, very, very directional. If you listen to shortwave, not that much. So a magnetic loop in general, unless you're extremely close to a transmitter, because it does make a difference if you're close to a transmitter. But for general signals, like, for example, we were listening to the Voice of Turkey 9830, there would be very little difference if I would turn my MLA30. So most signals from far away, there's not a lot of difference. It's really from, on shortwave, it's really what's close that is directional more than anything else. And that's why they will tell you that unless you're DXing medium wave or long wave, the rule of a loop like the MLA30 is set it in the way that you have the least amount of noise, and leave it like that. So often what you'll do is use the directional pattern of the antenna, but to lower the noise level as much as possible, and then you just leave it like that and listen to the radio with it. Jean-Marc Letts, 2230 UTC, hearing on 20 SDR, 10715, Cuban Lady Spy number, S6 signal. Wow, so it's coming into the 20 SDR. Cool. PageMaster, and noticed about amateur radio, when there is a contest going on, amateurs come out of nowhere, but on non-contest days, there are not many amateurs on the air. That is constant, PageMaster. I'll give another example of that. Everybody, I don't know how many times people always say, well, 10 meters dead, 10 meters dead, 10 meters dead, 10 meters dead. Bring a contest. Hey, 10 meters open. And you're like, yeah, it's open only for the contest. It is something that shows one simple thing. First, there's a lot of guys, it's okay. There's a lot of amateur operators that love contests. That's okay. I got no problem with that. Somewhat, it is sad to see that without a contest, a lot of hams aren't really doing anything. There are stations you'll hear only in contests, and they will never, ever be on the air at other times. I do have a little bit of hard time with that. If you have an amateur license, when I get my license, I'm not going to be just one thing for sure is I will probably try a contest at least once. but it's to be used whenever you want to use it, not to be used only in a contest time or whatever. I find that sad. I got to say, it is sad that without a contest, there's not that many AMs on the air. Look at the number of ham radio operators that are licensed versus the activity that we see. It's kind of sad when you think about it. It's really sad. What else do we have? So, this is the Sunday edition of the live show. So it says here, UNID 6950 upper sideband at 2234, but I'm not hearing anything on 6950. Nope, nothing on 6950 here, and that's pretty much the only pirate right now. It's a very quiet pirate afternoon and early evening from what I see over here. What else do we have? Was there a page? An ad popped up? That's interesting. Pirates are taking a break. Steve Miller says, stick with shortwave. Don't go to the dark side. And of course, that comes from KD6SPB. Oh, man. Anything else? Let's check it out here. I'm going to check out a few signals. Propagation is interesting. It's let's see what's in there. Oh, I'm hearing WRMI 9955 very strong compared to what I'm used to. WRMI on 9955 is broadcasting towards Central South America. So it's sending its signal away from me. And so I don't hear it very often, but it's coming in quite well right now. So it's some music. 9955 WRMI. What else do we have? Crittenden Total 4. And I say, have you heard KJ7NUX? You're late. What have you been doing? You have to be here. Well, think about it that way, guys. When an ad pops up, it gives me a little bit of money. So that means that, my paycheck's going to be there. Brent enjoyed the International Radar Report this morning. Cool. Did you hear the end? I posted it was just so funny because I posted I'm having fun with the ending of the show because what happens on CKUT is that what we do is we try to put the show not more than 29 minutes. Because sometimes they insert an ad for CKUT or something, and that actually clips out the ending of the show. So to make sure that we aren't cut at the end, we do about 28 and a half to 29 minutes and stop. So what I do is I fill in the last minute a little more. I always do like 31 minutes when we pre-record the show. I add something at the end. So before we would add the same shortwave and radio sounds that would be on the next show after it, which is Free Kick. But because I find it kind of sad that we have that, then there's Free Kick, and they start it over again, I thought it might be fun to do something else. So last week I did interval signals, and today I did Radio Moscow. It's a recording of Radio Moscow broadcast from 1981 that was played this morning. So it gives you all the frequencies they were using, the Radio Moscow interval signal, and there was a little bit of the start of the program, but was cut because Free Kick was next. But I'm having fun with that. I've been thinking of putting different shortwave broadcasts from the past, or maybe not just from the past, even broadcasts that are recent. All sorts of shortwave sounds and things that, if you've been listening to shortwave for a long time, it might bring you a little bit of nostalgia from the times. I thought it was kind of fun to end the show with some kind of different ending and a different way. And every week is going to be different. So I'm having fun with that. So this morning was kind of fun to have the ending with Radio Moscow, but the show was really, really nice. I was listening to it this morning, and now that we pre-recorded, of course, I listened to the show. I listened to the show because one of the things I want to improve is my my way of doing radio, because one of the biggest problems with radio that I have is in my expressions, or sometimes the hesitation moments and stuff like that. And what's nice with the fact that we pre-record the International Radio Report is that we can fix some of the problems. So, there were the show was about 29 minutes and 15 seconds. Once I edited all the stuff that I didn't like, we came down to 28 minutes, 30 seconds, me fumbling over something and redoing it again. I edited out a couple of things from Sheldon that he also fumbled on the text, and redid it. And I removed the little chunk where he fumbled on the text also, which is nice. I mean, it's cool because what's nice on the pre-recording is the fact that we can play around with the recording and improve it. But at the same time, you can't improve everything. And one of the things that there's nothing worse than listening to yourself. Everybody knows that. Record your voice, listen to yourself. All the time you get this, oh God, I sound like that? Really? Now, I'm used to that because I do YouTube videos. So listening to myself is now so normal that it's not a problem. I'm used to my voice. I'm used to the way I talk. I'm used to listening to my own expressions and the way that I might pronounce English words sometimes, because let's face it, my first language is French, not English. So sometimes, I don't know how to pronounce a specific word that I haven't come across very often. And, when I read my stuff for the International Radio Report, you guys, I go to Google and I ask Google to actually give me the pronunciation of words, because there's always words in the text that is like, how do you pronounce that? And you guys are going to laugh, but sometimes I spend an hour repeating the pronunciation of the same word that I'm going to have to read in the text in the show. So I listen to the show because it's interesting to re-listen to it. Even though I can listen to it as much as I want, I've got them all recorded on my hard drive here. But, you're listening to it through a radio station. It's different on a radio. But also, I listen to it because I want to improve the way I do things. And there are things that annoy me in my own way of talking and my hesitations. And I listen all the time because I want to improve that. One of the things that I did so many times, I would, when I started participating in the International Radio Report, I would listen to the show to see how I sounded. But when I was alone, because a few times, Sheldon wasn't there, I was alone doing the show in the studio at CKUT. One of the first things I did every time I did the show all alone was to listen to it on the archive to see what I need to improve because, you want to be perfect. You want to be, I listened to Sheldon reading his texts. And when you read your own texts, I read the text and stuff. I want to improve everything. I want to make sure that the International Radio Report has a minimum of quality in it. So I listen to it all the time to improve myself. What else do we have? Matt says certain modes are always active on the handbands. FT8. FT8, yeah. FT8 is very, very popular. And that one there's always something there. I need to try a few other things. I'd like to do those. Crinden Total 4, KJ7 NUX says, I was out trying my new Kenwood HT. Okay, you're forgiven. You did radio stuff. It's all right. Oh, man. Caesar says, Jill and Tutterbird show. It could be interesting one day to have some other radio YouTubers. Tutterbird is pretty popular. I was looking at his statistics the other day, and pretty nice. Brent says, yes, enjoyed the Radio Moscow frequencies and their interval signal. Brought back a lot of memories. You and Sheldon do an awesome job. Very informative and professional. Thank you very much. I hope so. That's what I want, and that's what we want. And it's fun to be able to, I want to improve on the audio. The audio isn't perfect. I realize it when I'm recording that there's some background noise. But, I don't have a console. If you guys would see how I record and how I do it, it's already amazing that we can do a pre-recorded show already. But, I don't have a console here right now. I don't have, I'm not a professional studio. So it's a challenge to be able to do what we do right now. But it's kind of nice, but you guys should see it on my laptop. When we do the recording, there's 12 different windows of different software all running, and all have one specific thing to do. And one has the ID to play for that. One has the other thing. One has the intro song. One is the audio coming out of Skype for Sheldon. It's crazy just thinking that I manage all of that when we do the recording. But also what's nice is the fact that because we pre-record, and I mean, there are very awkward sounding moments when we record the show. And you guys don't see them because I edit out all the weirdness out of it. But, sometimes there's always a little delay. So on Skype, there's just enough of a delay. Then when we interact, it seems not totally natural. Well, I look at the end of the show when I edit, I look at the visual aspect of the audio. Anywhere that I see there's too much space, where it's empty, anywhere while we record the show, I have a pen, and on a piece of paper, I jot down every place that something happened. So I have, of course, a timeline while the recording goes. So I'll just write down, it's 6 minutes 35 seconds. 11 minutes 12. Then I go back and I know that every little single place that I noted the time, something is weird and I need to fix it so it sounds okay. And I mean, I like the pre-recorded shows. We were talking about this on the recording on Friday. How, you know what, Sheldon got a survey from the station, and we were talking how we don't that necessarily need to go to the studio anymore and do it live, because this works out really well. And one thing for sure, we were thinking about, in the wintertime when there's big winter storms on Sunday mornings, why, you know, why risk going to the station in a big storm when, you know what, big storm, let's just do it in advance and pre-record the show and send it in rather than take that risk. So it's kind of interesting. Jerry's starting to hear my cousins on 5275. Frank Ireland, I'm so glad that I found this channel and joined the Facebook group. It has made the hobby so much better for me, and love the reminiscing. It's, I'm happy to things, comments like that are cool because they make me understand that, doing this was a really, really cool thing. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. And I'm happy to do this because I know so many people. So many people. By the way, guys, I was listening in and I could hear it, but 9955 WRMI is actually being jammed by Cuba. I'm hearing the jamming sometimes overtake the WRMI transmitter on 9955. So I'm hearing the typical Cuban jamming that has the same buzzing and sounds that they use over Radio Marti right now. But I'm happy to be here because I know that for a lot of people it's something important and something cool, and I am happy to be doing this for sure. And I've been listening to Shortwave for such a long time now. You had told me in 1982 when I was 13 years old, that realistic DX100, that radio here, that's what started all of it. That's the first shortwave radio I've got. When I was 13, and it was August of 82, I was 13. If you would have told me then, you know what, someday you'll be on a live video talking about shortwave in front of an audience, I would have told you, get out of here. I'm never going to do that. I'm too scaredy cat to talk in front of people. Do I look scared of talking in front of you guys today? But it's the kind of thing that you just don't know. I mean, back there in 1982, Cold War, shortwave, internet was not something was not even a word for anyone. Didn't know, that all of this would happen. Had a Commodore VIC-20 in 82. Was playing little games that I would type in from a magazine. And technology advances fast, and I say it often. It's kind of amazing to think that, having this kind of, quality up to a certain point, of the video and the audio, this is the kind of thing that was only available to $1,000 and several $1,000s and $100,000 studios for a long time. Without a professional studio, you couldn't look right and you couldn't sound right. And today, with a simple camera that costs barely more than $100, microphone that's $100. And of course, an $1,800 laptop, but you don't need to spend that much money, honestly, if you just do it. I mean, you have your own home studio today. You don't need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars anymore to just look right. And if you're a little, creative, you can create a background. You can create something that just looks cool for very little amount of money, and be on the air. But back in 1982 with that DX100, you told me, hey, you're going to be a guy that has a channel where, hundreds of people are watching your show live, talking about shortwave radio. I don't think I would have believed you. Even if you came from the future and said, yeah, right. Bill, have you ever been to Vancouver, BC? Nope. I've never been further west than Ontario. Actually, Toronto and three places I visited in Ontario: Upper Canada Village, Toronto, and Niagara Falls. But I would love to see Vancouver. I would love to see British Columbia. I really, it's something I would really enjoy. Vivian, nice to have you here. Your voice is always a pleasure to listen to your show. Very professional. Thank you very much. William Helms from Florida. Nice to have you here. John McClure, nice to have you on board. Mickey Delmage, Radio Netherlands Media Network used to do a bloopers show from their recordings. Perhaps it's time for a bloopers International Radio Report show. Oh, that would be interesting. You know what? It's interesting because we look at the bloopers and the stuff from different broadcasters. I gotta say, me and Sheldon are pretty good at what we do with, no real big bloopers. Except maybe, there would be one. 3 weeks, I think it was, 3 weeks ago, when we restarted the recording, I think 5 or 6 times because I messed up on some of the stuff that I was doing. But that's not recorded. It's when the bloopers if something's bad's happening, it's removed. So we don't have I don't have a. Do I have? Yes, I do. Actually, I do. Because I do 2 things. I record. So when we finish the show, I do record and transfer an MP3 immediately. Because I want to make sure that if the computer crashes, we at least have the full show. And of course, one of the things that I thought is, well, if all goes to hell, we can still send in an unedited show, which sounds a little different and has these weird, awkward moments, but would still be playable on CKUT. And of course, I do have, so I do 2 files. One is called IRR for International Radio Report with the date. The official finished show has the full International Radio Report, May 31st, 2020. In it. So there is an unedited show recorded. But there are bloopers or things that happen that are not recorded. But that's kind of interesting. William Helms, June of 82, I was out of high school. And I was 13. I was in 82. I was, what was it? I was in high school, of course. Frank Ireland, M61, started listening when I was 10, got a Lloyd's radio when in high school, going crazy trying to remember what happened to that radio. Eric Cottrell, I had a Radio Shack color computer that I used to receive weather facts. I used to read Rainbow magazine dedicated to the color computer. I remember seeing that magazine when I would go and pick up my Compute Gazettes. I remember that magazine existed there, the stand also. Jerry DX says, get a green screen. Yeah, well, when this room gets totally redone this year, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be happening. Frank Ireland says, first radio was a Stewart. Brian Penny, hello there from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Better late than never, absolutely. John McClure, did you see the post on Twitter from Bear Tracker? When? Now? Long time ago? I've not checked it out. I've seen a few of his posts a few times. Let me see if I see anything. Is it a recent post, John? I'm trying to see if I can just check it out here. Bear Tracker. See if I see something here. I'm not seeing it right now, but well, that's 21 hours ago. Okay, to see channel markers and stuff. Okay, I know I'm not seeing his posts. Let's check it a little more because I've seen a few of in the past, but what else do we have? Brian Penny getting his first haircut in 3 months this Wednesday. My hair is longer than Mickey Dalmage's. Oh man. It would have been fun to see a picture of all of you with like long hair. For me it's normal. Everybody's like going crazy over haircuts, and of course you guys have seen me. When I take a lot of time before I go to go have a haircut. Sometimes it's a little long, so you know what? I'm not overly going crazy with the way it is right now because it's like, yeah, this is normal for me. Here in Montreal, they are opening the barbershops on June 15th. So that means April, May, and June, 3 months they've been closed. So, Glenn Zekman, Joe, you would live it out in BC. I used to go to BC for 6 months. I'm sure everybody, I got a friend of mine that actually goes there regularly and says you have to go to British Columbia. You have to go to Vancouver. You got to see that. It's totally worth it. Hey, Matt is going to light the charcoal steak for dinner tonight. Cool. I'm going to cook a fettuccine carbonara tonight. I've got some leftover bacon, some Reggiano Parmigiana, and I think it's going to be an amazing time to eat carbonara pasta tonight. Jerry had an opportunity to visit all of Canada 25 years ago using a VRL 2-week pass that was only $200. I didn't go because I didn't have the money. If I can only go back in time, man, imagine $200. It's not that much money actually, but sometimes we just don't have. I like train. I like VRL. I love train. There's something about train that is just kind of cool. Bobby Burgess, I might be luck that I can catch shortwave radiogram in 19 minutes on 7780. So they're going to be at what? It's they have a airing at 7780. Let me check it out here if I hear it well. It's not super strong, but it's there. So shortwave radiogram is going to be at 2330. Let's check that out. Might be worth it to shortwave radiogram. Yeah, shortwave radiogram. So 2330 on 7780. It's the Screaming Preacher on 7780 right now, which always makes me laugh. So if you guys want to try something, go on 7780. And in 15 minutes from now, there will be what is called a shortwave radiogram. This comes out by Kim Andrew Elliott, which used to be a Voice of America guy. You need a software called FLDG, FLDG, FLDIGI, FLDG. And they do a digital, it's a 30-minute digital transmission in AM mode. You don't have to have single sideband or anything. 7780 AM mode. The always start, so shortwave radiogram, they always start in MFSK 32. So what you do is you start the program on MFSK 32 mode, but you will be changing modes. So you'll use, tonight he's going to use some Olivia 64 2000, Olivia 32 2000, Olivia 16 2000, and MFSK 64 and MFSK 32 closing announcement. So if you want to have fun trying to decode digital modes, that is a fun thing. 7780. I'm going to actually load. FLDG here. I'm going to try to decode that tonight. Make sure that serial mix is on. Yes, it is. FLDG. FLDG. Make sure I have all the modes correctly. And remember, he uses sometimes some of the modes that are very recent. So make sure you have the latest version of the software. So MFSK. So he says he's going to use Olivia modes here. So Olivia. Olivia. Yeah, Olivia 64 2K, 2K, 2K. I got all the modes. Everything's all right. So it starts out in MFSK 32. It's centered on 1500 hertz. I'll leave that there. So if you guys want to try that, it's a great way to get acquainted with digital modes, by the way. What else do we have? JDX sounds fancy. Bobby Burgess eats some rice gravy and pork chops. Eric Cottrell, I like listening to the road channels. I often listen to the trains. I need to bring my scanner along next time I travel by train. Revolutionary Brewer says Virrail is awesome. I traveled with Week Pass from Edmonton to Halifax. Lots of fun. I always enjoy it. I think it's my preferred way of travel. It's really cool. And it's pretty comfy too. Dan V, bonjour. Nice to have you here from Ohio. N8WGZ. That's in French. N8WJZ. There, Nigel Lawrence. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Good morning. Matt says, I enjoy Shortwave Radiogram. The same host provides a minute-long clip on the Mighty KBC every week. It's usually an image of a musician with a birthday close to the date of broadcasts. Mickey Dalmich, yes, absolutely. 24 hours, less than 24 hours to view the Spectres of Shortwave on Vimeo. Brian Penny says, conditions have been favorable for Euro Pirates in the East Coast. Cupid Radio, Radio Abu Dhabi, Triple L Radio, Radio Cuckoo, Radio Harmony. Cool. Look, I'm going to show you something here. I showed one yesterday to someone posting in the group, but look at that, guys. You're talking about a station, pirate station. Cupid Radio, QSL. Cupid Radio, QSL. This one in the back, it says was power 600 watt, half-wave dipole. Here in the back, 15070. 15070. Two QSLs from 2006. 2006 on 15070 in the 19-meter band. And you know what, guys? When that would happen, we would be actually, if you guys remember MSN Messenger, we would be chatting on MSN Messenger while he was live. "45 units," says Live from Other Planets would say we are a bunch of 45 units. A 45 unit is from the police code where I worked, which means demented person. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. 30X, I hear the American train activity every once in a while. There, Nigel Lawrence says weekend 6-meter band and 10-meter band has been open. Yeah, Brian. He's been doing that on and off because he's been a few years without doing anything. But yeah, he's been Cupid Radio has been done for a while. There was one which was Black. Man, what was the pirate station name? Black Arrow, something like that. We used to do MSN Messenger chats, and I had a webcam back then, a 3-com webcam, which was my first webcam. We would sometimes do a live video, and he would show me. I remember he opened a closet door, and all the transmitter and the stuff was stacked in the closet for his pirate station. Black Arrow, something black. Anyways, the guy's name was Alfred, and we would, when he was live, we would do live video feeds. That guy actually died a few years ago in a motorcycle accident. I don't remember who had told me, but somebody had told me. He said, "Oh, remember Alfred that would do all the private stations?" And he had a black. I'm trying to remember. It's Black something. Black Sparrow. Black. I remember it's Black. Trying to remember. But that guy died in a motorcycle crash a few years ago. It made me sad. It was like, oh, really? Wow. Somebody you knew, somebody you interacted. I think it was Black Arrow. I'm almost positive it was Black Arrow. And I remember it. I felt sad because it was like, wow, that's a guy that we interacted. We had some video feeds while he was doing some pirate stuff, and when I learned that he had died in a motorcycle crash, it was like, oh man, really? I believe he was married and had children. So was sad. Was sad. But I think it's Black Arrow. My memory is at a default, but I think it's Black Arrow. And he would use frequencies like Cupid. 15070 was one of his frequencies back then. And I remember Cupid and him doing and trying 13 meters. 21, he was like 21 460 or something like that. And they were broadcasting on the 13-meter band. Crazy times for pirates. Today, all the pirates are down on the lower frequencies, partly because of the low sort of activity, probably. So, Famed Pirate on 6929. Let's check it out just for checking it out. Oh, good pirate here. With some music. It's pretty good here, actually. 6929. Pretty good music here. So anybody as a... It's New Moon Radio, apparently. New Moon Radio. Pretty good signal here. New Moon Radio. 6929. Upper sideband. New Moon Radio. Peaking at S8-ish when it's at its peak. So I don't know if you guys can hear it. What else do we have? Erica Trell, Vincent Black Lightning or Vincent Black Shadow? Vince Sparrow got 6929. Pretty good. JRDX, I used to listen to hams on the 13-meter band. Yeah, well, it's 15 hams are in 15 meters, which is but 13 meters is the broadcast band. JRDX 6929 S9 Plus. Simon Templar, power on 6929 is very, very faint in Portland, Oregon. So kind of interesting. So definitely a pirate. I've heard hams in the 15-meter band last CQ contest in SSB. There was some activity there, mostly from South Central America. But I haven't heard a station from Europe on 15 meters in a long time. Low solar activity isn't helping. Hey, did that sunspot make it through? Did that sunspot make it through? Space weather. There was a sunspot that was supposed to... Wow, it didn't even make it. There were a few flares from a solar cycle 25 sunspot on the other side of the sun. It was about to become into view, and it says here, flurry of solar flares on May 29th has disintegrated so quickly that it didn't even have time to officially numbered. So solar minimum is back. We're a blank sun with a solar flux of 70. Wow. Not even survived long enough. Erica Charles says 15 meters was active yesterday afternoon. Frank Ireland, 6929, coming in pretty well in Tampa. Pretty cool. Remember, guys, if you want to try the shortwave radiogram 7780 and FLDG software to check it out. It should be after the crazy preacher. Vicky Delminch, 6929 a week here with Be Like That, 3 Doors Down. Yep, 3 Doors Down. That was the song. I didn't remember what was the title. I was trying to remember the name of the group. The 3 Doors Down. And the Screaming Preacher on 7780. Nothing like a screaming preacher on a Sunday night. Anything else? Let's check it out here. Check out if anybody has checked in, said hello, or anything on email. What else do we have here? Yeah, that's okay. Nothing special happening here. Nobody has said anything special here. So, and the shortwave radiogram is just starting on 7780. So we're going to see what that does. Yeah, the Space Weather Woman. Absolutely. Space Weather Woman. I've seen this many times. On shortwave radio, we transmit digital text and images on an analog shortwave broadcast transmitter. So the shortwave radiogram starting on 7780 kilohertz right now. On today's program, we experiment with 3 Olivia modes, each 2,000 hertz wide. They are Olivia 64 2000. Mongoose, nice to have you here from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. 2000. Also, our usual MFSK 32 and MFSK 64. News about a new recyclable rubber polymer, and our images of the week. First, the program preview. 30X says, nice evening tonight. Here's cool. We're just barely at 10 degrees Celsius. And here the MFSK 32 mode just starting. And it starts. Welcome to program 154 of the Shortwave Radiogram. I'm Kim Andrew Elliott in Arlington, Virginia. The code is pretty good. Here's a lineup for today's program in modes as noted. So even though it's not top shape signal, it's actually decoding very well right now. The Delta 65's got the Pirate on 6929, S5 into New York City. Cool. Kind of nice to decode this. I haven't decoded a shortwave radiogram in a long time. Long time. At least 5 kilohertz of bandwidth for the AM mode. What am I using? Oh yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm using 8000. So this is pretty good. There we go. Olivia 64 2000. Yeah, it's working. Olivia 64 2000. Wow, this is cool. David Bennett getting Morse on 7790, but nothing on 7780. Yeah, 7780 is WRMI. So Shelly's hearing 7780 really well, just a telescopic. So if you have FLDG on a computer, just with the audio, you could decode the text. So right now, it's a text in Olivia 64 2000 or 64 2K. And they are talking about green recyclable rubber gives new life to single-use building materials. So kind of interesting to see this text going on. So, hey guys, I'm gonna sign off for tonight. We've been on for 2 hours 35, which isn't bad for a Sunday night. We'll be back on Wednesday and Friday at their usual times for a live show. I'm going to decode this until the end and look at the text. And then I'm starting to be hungry. I'm going to go do and cook my little supper tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show for this Sunday. We're going to be back Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 0 UTC. And of course, we have the Friday show at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 20 hours Universal Time. So stay safe, everybody. It's fun to have all of you here. It's always cool to have everybody here. And hope you enjoyed this Sunday special live show. And take care. Take care, my friends. It's always cool to have you on. What I'm hearing, Jim and Robert Milligan is on 7780 AM mode. And you use software called FLDG on 64 2K. I'm actually going to record part of it. Take care, everybody. Always fun to have you on board. Stay safe wherever you are, whatever happens. And see you next week or in the coming week on the live shows. Bye, everybody. I'm saying bye to my microphone. I don't know why. Bye, everyone. Stay safe. Love ya.